Hello everybody. In my next installment of videos talking about open source contribution and Hacktoberfest, I want to show you how do we actually do it. So if you saw my other video, I'll link it in the description. I talk about how GitHub and open source is kind of like everybody has a big Word document, a Google Doc that we're all trying to contribute to and improve it and make it better. And so let's talk about how does that actually work with GitHub. So I've created this repository, which is a fancy way of saying this place that hosts all my code. And let's say you want to contribute to it. So I've got a GitHub account, which is super easy to create. Just head over to GitHub and create that. And then it's a really cool onboarding experience. Actually, they make you go through a rocket ship. It's really cool. But anyways, so once you get over here, you're like, okay, cool. Well, now what do I do? So the answer is lots of things. You can do all sorts of things. So let's say you want to work on this. First of all, what you're going to do is, it's called forking, and it basically is a way of saying, I want to make a copy over on my side of things. So you could just think of it as copy and bring to my branch, or bring to my account, I guess is kind of a way to think about it. So we're going to go to the repo, and then we're just going to click this fork button up here. And you're going to see it's going to default to your username here, and you can call it whatever you want there. You can change the name. I like to keep the same name as the original one, but you can do that. You can copy all the branches. You can copy just the main one. We're just going to copy the main one. That's fine in most cases. So we're going to hit create repository. And now you're like, whoa, wait, this looks like exactly where I just was. And it's similar but different. Everything looks exactly the same, but you'll notice this says your username and not Brittany215. Same right here. And you can see just below it, it says, oh, hey, this is forked from there. So anytime you're like, wait a minute, which one's the original and which one's mine? GitHub tries to make it pretty easy to go back and forth with that. So there's lots of different ways you can contribute, right? So I already mentioned that you're going to want to, let me bring up here. Let me just open it in a new tab so you can actually see. You're going to want to look and see, there's an issue I want to contribute. What do I want to do to it? So, let's say you grab one right here and you're like, okay, cool, I'm ready to work on that. I've got a forked branch. So lots of ways you can do this. I'm going to talk about running it locally and getting it going on your actual machine in a second. But depending on what you're trying to do, if you're just editing a markdown file, which is, something that's a bunch of text like this, you don't even need Visual Studio Code. You don't need anything. And I'm going to show you how we can do that real quick. So let's just say maybe the change that I want to make is I notice a typo here. And maybe, let's see, I don't know, maybe there shouldn't be a comma there. We'll use that as an example. You just go to this page. Remember, you're on yours. And you just click that pencil. And you can say, what did I want to change there? Let's see. Let's get rid of that comma right there. So we're just going to backspace, just normal text, whatever you'd want to do here, right? And you're going to go down here, and it's called committing a change. And it's kind of like saying, hey, can you save this? Can you queue this up as a change that I want to move over? Because you might want to move over several changes, right? You may change this file, and then maybe you want to fix a typo in another file. But this is basically just saying, hey, I want to save this, okay? And you're going to say, I like to be descriptive about what I'm doing there. So removing unnecessary comma. And funnily enough, I'm probably spelling that wrong there. Unnecessary. Okay, I give up trying to spell unnecessary. There we go. And so the next thing you're going to see here is you can commit directly to main, or you can create a new branch. I don't want to overcomplicate this. If you have forked a branch, if you have forked a repo, which basically means you're building on your own and not on the other one, I think it's fine to commit to main. Because worst case, you don't like what you do, you just sync and get back the original from Brit builds things. From Brittany Joiner 15, the original repo. And I'm worried to say too much here because I think if you're nervous about all this stuff, it can be really confusing. I'm just going to say leave it as is. Commit directly to main. Creating a new branch is basically you could almost think of it as I want to save this to a folder. So it's okay, I have my own branch, but I want to save the folder of typo changes that I want to fix. And then I'm going to bring all of those together. But we're just going to leave it as is for right now. Committing to main is totally fine. Hit as long as you're over here. In general, that's a bad practice, but in a forked repo, in my opinion, it's totally fine. Because, again, you're not committing to the official main branch of a repo. You're just committing to your version of it. So it's kind of like editing your own version of the Google Doc. You're not officially editing the other version. We're going to do a pull request, which you'll see how that works now. All right, so This is what we've got. And then you head over to pull requests in your repo, and you're going to hit new pull request. And it is going to automatically notice the changes that are different from what's on yours. Remember, what's on your forked version versus what's on the original one. So notice it tells you exactly what it's comparing. It's comparing the official one that we started out on, so the original version in the main branch there, to this forked one that I just created. And it's saying, what's different between these two? And it's like, oh, they removed a comma there. So you can see this here. So, and then you see that commit message we just did. All good. Literally just hit create pull request. And at this point, it's just like filling out a form, right? And don't worry, you can't break anything at this point because I would have to approve things on my end. So I always got very nervous about, like, if I click something, is it going to be, like, extremely problematic? Like, am I going to break something as soon as I do this? Does it, like, automatically send it up to wherever? It doesn't. So you can't break anything here. So don't worry too much about that. So, yeah, this is where you can change it. And you'll notice that this actually has the template of what I created for mine. And so like when I'm I made a template. So when you try to merge into my branch or my repo, it's going to force you to fill out these things. So you can say, oh, hey, I was working on, this issue over here, and, maybe include a screenshot of what you changed if you want. This is just kind of semantics and just kind of depends, but you can just kind of go through here and make sure you're descriptive and you have all of these things as you need. And then when you're ready, you just hit create pull request. And from there, it just kind of sits there and waits for a second. It will notify me and let me know about some things over there. And then from my side of things, here's what I see. So you're done at this point. You're good. You've done your stuff. You can just wait until you hear back from me, because I will basically get a notification that says, like, oh, hey, somebody's made a pull request here. Oh, Britt Builds Things made a pull request, and describes the changes, and I can see exactly what you've changed, and I can say, ooh, hey, I like that idea. That's actually, like, a really good idea. Like, let's go ahead and do that. And then I can review it. I can give feedback. Like, what I might do is I could comment in here and say, oh, can you remove the other typos, or, something like that. And then you'll see those sort of comments. And at that point, it's like we're engaging in a conversation here, because you'll see comments posted about, can you do this? Can you do that? Like, anything I want to change. And if I'm actually like, no, this is perfect, this is actually, like, good to go, then I can go ahead and merge it, and there's nothing else on your end. Like, you don't have to do anything. You've done all you need to do at this point. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to pause right there, because you're like, wait, I didn't write any code. And, like, yes, that's exactly the point. You fixed a typo. You didn't have to leave your browser. You didn't have to, like, figure out JavaScript or anything like that. There's totally stuff like that you can do. And so this is exactly, I'm going to do another video on how you would contribute it, like a code contribution, or something that, like, you need to run locally. But I just wanted to show that this is a perfect example of how you can do it all in your browser. You don't need to be able to code. Like GitHub, I know pull requests and all of that's confusing, but I hope this makes it a little bit more simple. Let me know what you think, and if you still have questions, comment below.